Welcome to this explainer. If you've been feeling the heavy weight of the daily grind lately, you are absolutely in the right place. We are literally swimming in the exhausting background noise of hustle culture, right? The endless emails, the constant pings, the errands that just never seem to stop. It's completely draining. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're unpacking some brilliant source material that offers an incredibly accessible antidote to all that modern exhaustion: the power of meditative walks. So the author shares this super relatable story. Basically, after a really long, totally draining day filled with all that usual life noise, they just needed to stretch their legs, clear their head a bit. They write, "I set out for just a 10-minute stroll." They stepped away from the screens, ditched the to-do lists, and as they walked, that racing mind of theirs actually started to slow down. What was just supposed to be a quick, simple loop around the block unexpectedly evolved into this completely unplanned but deeply needed 2-hour journey. So, what exactly happened out there? Well, with every passing step, the walker started feeling lighter, calmer, and just way more present. And I love this because it captures such a vital shift in perspective. Walking stops being just a physical chore or a way to get from point A to point B, and it turns into a profound personal experience. It does so much more than just move your physical body. It literally moves your entire being. Now, the key here is understanding what actually separates this from, your standard evening dog walk. Meditative walking is defined as the intentional practice of walking while pairing each step with affirming thoughts, mindful breathing, and a conscious awareness of your surroundings. Notice what's definitely not in that definition. There's zero mention of hitting a daily 10,000 step goal, and no pressure to sweat it out for cardio. None of that. Instead, it's entirely framed around the concept of tuning in. You're quite literally walking yourself into alignment. And this brilliantly illustrates one of my absolute favorite concepts from the text: painting a hopeful mental picture with your feet. It's such a beautiful metaphor. It's about visualizing the future you want to step into with every single stride you take. You're actively aligning your mind, your body, and your spirit, but you're doing it out on this wide open outdoor canvas. And honestly, there is just something about being in the open air that lets your mental picture expand in a way that just doesn't happen when we're hunched over a desk. But that brings us to a really fascinating question. Why exactly does meditative walking work as a full body reset? I mean, we all know it feels good, sure, but what are the actual mechanics behind its healing power? How does such a basic everyday movement manage to totally recalibrate our systems? Well, let's break this down into 3 core dimensions. First up, we've got the physical reset. Even at a super gentle pace, walking gets your blood pumping and physically flushes out built-up muscle tension. Then there's the mental dimension. By intentionally stepping away from screens and immediate demands, you're quieting the noise, giving yourself instant clarity and renewed focus. And finally, the spiritual dimension. It practically invites you to reconnect with your inner self, your deeper purpose, and the present moment. It hits all 3 layers of your well-being, all at exactly the same time. Now, a huge part of that mental and spiritual reset comes down to the inner dialogue, how we actually talk to ourselves while we're moving. The text points out that affirmations during these walks act like seeds. It's a fantastic sensory metaphor. As you walk, the physical rhythm of your footsteps and the steady repetition of your breathing let your body and soul sync right up. You are rhythmically planting these positive messages deep inside your mind, basically giving them the absolute perfect environment to take root and flourish. So, what kind of seeds are we talking about here? The source material offers some really solid secular affirmations to try. Things like, "I am whole, I am calm and have a clear mind, my steps are filled with purpose." I mean, just imagine for a second the impact of having that kind of empowering conversation with yourself, anchoring it with every single footstep. Instead of spinning your wheels about a stressful work email, you are actively, intentionally building yourself up. The text also makes a great point that this practice is totally adaptable depending on your personal beliefs. For believers, a meditative walk is an incredible opportunity to quote scripture and reshape their inner world. The material provides a few scriptural examples too, like 1 John 4:4, "Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world." And really, whether you choose secular affirmations, scriptural quotes, or just simple expressions of gratitude, the core mechanism is exactly the same. You're using rhythmic repetition to rewrite your internal narrative. And we definitely can't ignore the sheer impact of our physical environment on our headspace. Just stepping outside, leaving the messy kitchen, the cluttered desk, leaving the phone inside is honestly like magic. Nature brings its own therapy to the table. Think about the sensory shift. You hear the rustle of leaves. You feel a breeze on your face, the solid ground under your shoes. This literal shift in physical space acts as a signal telling your brain, hey, we're somewhere new, let's think new thoughts. And the evidence backs this up. It isn't just a quick temporary mood boost. When you make this a regular practice, meditative walking delivers some seriously impressive, holistic, long-term health benefits. We're talking massively reduced stress and anxiety, noticeably improved mood, lower blood pressure, a big spike in creativity and problem solving, and way greater self-awareness. This simple, free activity is a powerhouse tool for building your daily emotional resilience. Let's move to and see how this builds, specifically into how to start. And honestly, this is the absolute best part. There is zero gear required here. You don't need fancy athletic wear, crazy apps, or an expensive trail pass to pull this off. The text lays out this incredibly easy 5-step approach. Step 1, literally just step outside. A local park, a city sidewalk, even pacing your driveway works. Step 2, leave the distractions behind. No podcasts, no scrolling. Step 3, set a gentle intention. Something as simple as, I'm walking to feel better. Step 4, breathe deeply and walk mindfully. Actually notice your feet hitting the ground. And step 5, add in those affirmations, whether silently or out loud. The absolute freedom here is that there's no perfect time or ideal distance. You just go. When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. In a culture that is utterly obsessed with hustle and constant, non-stop motion, meditative walking is a quiet rebellion. It is a deliberate return to presence, to balance, and to your own inner strength. Choosing to take a mindful, unplugged walk is such an empowering pushback against this modern idea that we have to always be productive, always be reachable, and always be moving at top speed. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought to chew on. The very next time you feel that creeping burnout, the next time you're overwhelmed or disconnected or just deeply exhausted, will you put on your shoes, step outside, and walk yourself back to peace, presence, and you? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer today. Keep learning, keep walking, and I will see you next time.